Good morning, students. Welcome to Computer Organization class. This is Veena A. Patil from Department of CSE BLE CET Vijaypur. In the previous video, we have studied about the buses, synchronous bus and asynchronous bus, and we also tried to analyze these two types using timing diagrams. And in this video, we are going to learn about interface circuits. Now, and input-output interface, it consists of logic circuitry required to connect an I/O device to a computer bus. On one side of interface, we have the bus signals for addresses, data, and control. And on another side of the interface, it has a data path. With its associated controls to transfer data between the interface and the input-output devices. Now this side is called a port, which can be classified as a parallel port or serial port. Now parallel port transfers data in the form of a number of bits, normally 8 or 60, to or from the device. The connection between the device and computer uses a multiple pin connection and a flat cable with as many wires. Now this arrangement is suitable for devices that are physically close to the processor and that require faster communication. For longer distance, skew problem limits the data transfer and the cost of laying the wires increase as distance increases. Also for longer distance, it is difficult to physically lay the cables. So serial communication is used. A serial port, it transmits or receives data one bit at a time. The processor is a parallel device, that is, it accepts or sends data over its data bus like 8 or 16 or 32 bits at a time. If the device is to be interface accepts or sends data in serial format, then format conversion is needed. The conversion from parallel to serial format or vice versa, it takes place inside the interface circuit. The serial format is efficient and cost-effective way of data transfer for long distances. However, it is slower compared to parallel data transfer. An input-output interface generally provides the following functionalities. That is, it provides a storage buffer for at least one word of data. It contains status flag that can be accessed by the processor to determine whether the buffer is full or empty. It contains address decoding circuitry to determine when it is being addressed by the processor. Generates appropriate timing signal required for data transfer on the bus. It performs any format conversion like parallel to serial or serial to parallel conversion that may be necessary to transfer data between the bus and the input-output devices. We will have a look on design of parallel interface for a keyboard. Now we have a circuitry which has an 8-bit input port, 8-bit output port, and a combined general purpose 8-bit parallel port. The interface circuitry is assumed to be connected to a 32-bit processor that uses memory mapped I/O and a synchronous bus protocol. Now a simple hardware organization for connecting a keyboard to a processor is as shown in the figure. The keyboard, it consists of mechanical switches that are normally open. When a key is pressed, its switch closes, forming a path for electrical signals. This signal is detected by an encoder circuit that generates the ASCII code for the corresponding characters. So on the processor side of the interface, we have data lines, address lines, control or read-write lines, and master ready signals and slave ready signals. On the output of the encoder, it consists of bits that represent the encoded character and one control signal called valid, which indicates that a key is being pressed. This information is sent on the interface circuit, which contains data in register and status flag, that is S in. When a key is pressed, the valid signal it changes from 0 to 1, causing the ASCII code to be loaded into data in, and S in will be set to 1. When the processor reads the character from data in, S in is clear to 0. The synchronous handshake signal controls the data transfer on the bus. The read-write signal distinguishes between whether it is a read or a write operation. If it is a read, it will be 1. If it is a write, it will be a 0 signal. Now we have a detailed circuitry here. Yeah. Now this detailed circuitry is for input interface. Now the output lines of the data in register are connected to the data lines of the bus. If you can see here in the figure, these are the data lines. So the output of data in register are connected to, here you have here data in, they are connected to data lines. These are the data lines from D0 to D7. In between you are able to see this part. It is called a tri-state driver. So the connection between the data in register and the data lines is through this tri-state drivers. Now the S in signal is generated by a flag circuit, and this signal is sent to the bus through a tri-state driver. You can see here, it is shown here, tri-state driver. Now this S in is connected to bit D0, that is, it is bit 0 of the status register. Now an address decoder is used to select the input interface using high order 31 bits of the addresses. You can see here. Now address bit A0, as you are able to see at the bottom, address bit A0, my pen is not writing over there, yeah, A0, it determines whether the status or the data register is to be read with a master ready signal if the master ready signal is active. The slave ready is activated when either read status or read data signal is 1. So slave ready signal, you can see here, it is also a tri-state buffer. Its input is dependent on the read status and the read data. So when either of these value is 1, the output will be 1. That is, the slave ready signal is initiated or activated. Yeah, the same thing is being written here. I just forgot to press the enter key. A simple implementation of the status flag circuit is shown in the next figure here. Okay, an edge triggered D flip flop. This is a edge triggered D flip flop is set to 1 by a rising edge of the valid signal. So whenever a valid signal is 1, it will set the D flip flop. This changes the state of the NOR latch such that SIN is set to 1. Now, because of the output of this, the signal SIN will be set to 1. The circuit ensures that SIN can be set only while master ready is equal to 0. If it is equal to 0, it will be equal to 1 here, and this will be 1. So 1 and 1, it will give an output as 1. So both the flip-flops and the latch are reset to 0. That is when read data is set to 1. So to read the data in register, we have here read data. So whenever this read data is set to 1, it will be input will be 1 here. So it is going to set the SIN bit so that the data from the data in register is read. Now one thing we need to note that a push button switch on the keyboard, when it is pressed, will bounce, and due to bouncing, single pressing could be erroneously interpreted as the key being pressed and released rapidly several times. So there will be, whenever a bounce key is pressed, if this is a key, there will be springs like this, because of which bouncing, you will feel that the key is pressed many times. Now the effect of bouncing can be eliminated using a hardware called debouncing circuit in the interface circuit. Debouncing circuit in the interface circuit you have seen already here. If you see here, we have written here, along with the encoder we have a debouncing circuit. The software approach uses an I/O routine that reads a character from the keyboard after waiting for a time called debouncing time, by which time the key would have attained its stable state. So we have a software because of which it will wait till the bouncing is over and then it will read the data. That's why this figure has decoding circuit as part of a encoder block. So this I had forgotten to tell. Now let's see output interface. Now this figure shows the interface diagram to interface an output device like a printer to a processor. The printer uses two handshake signals. One is idle and the other one is valid for controlling the operations. When it is ready to accept a character, it asserts its idle signal, and the interface circuit places a new character on the data line and activates the valid signal. Now the printer removes the idle signal and starts printing the character in its start printing the character that it has received. The interface has a data register, data out, and a status flag sout. The sout flag is set to 1. It will be set to 1 when the printer is ready to accept another character, and is cleared to 0 when a new character is loaded into data out by the processor. The same thing has been explained here inwards. This is on the processor side, what all lines are there, and this is on the printer side, and this is a detailed implementation of the output interface. Now here, if you are able to see, the data lines of the processor bus are connected to data out. These are the data lines. They are connected to data out register of the interface. The status flag sout is connected to data line D1, unlike the previous one wherein SIN was connected to D0. Here it is connected to D1. That is the difference you should remember, using a 3-state driver. The 3-state driver is turned on when the control read status line is set to 1. When this read status line is equal to 1, the 3-state driver, it will turn on. Address decoder selects the output interface using address line A1 through A31. Address line A0 determines whether the data is to be loaded into the data out register or status flag is to be ready. So this is dedicated for, this always happens at the bottom, the pen never, you can see it. So this line is dedicated for either setting the data line or the status flag. If the load data line is 1, then the valid line is set to 1. If this line is 1, load data line is 1, then as it is connected here, then the valid line will also be equal to 1. If the idle line is 1, then the status flag sout is set to 1. So sout will be set to 1. Now we have here a combined input-output interface circuit, that is for the parallel interface, wherein input and output, both the diagrams which we have seen here previously, this one was for input and this is for output. Both the diagrams, it is shown here, it is a combined diagram for parallel interface, input and output. So combined input output interface circuit, you can say. So address line bits A2 through A31, that is 30 bits are used to select the overall interface, and address bits A1 through A0, these 2 bits, these 2 bits are used to select one of the 3 registers, that is either data in, data out and the status registers. The status register contains the flags SIN and SOut in bits 0 and 1. and data line, we have shown here data line as PA0 through PA7. They connect the input device to data in register. So data out register connects the data line on the processor bus to lines PB0 through PB7, which connects to output device. We use the labels RS1 and it is here at RS1 and RS0 register select to denote the two input that determine the register being selected. In this figure, it shows that there are separate input and output data lines. Now, a simple and flexible parallel port can be designed if the data lines to the input-output device are bidirectional. So, you can see here, it is bidirectional. So, data lines to input-output devices are bidirectional in this diagram. Now, data lines right from P7 through P0 can be used for both input and output. Now, in fact, some lines can be used for input and some for output depending on pattern in the data direction register, that is DDR. A processor places an 8-bit pattern into a DDR. If a given bit position in the DDR is 1, the corresponding data line acts as an output line. Otherwise, it acts as an input line. Now, C1 and C2, these two, control the interaction between the interface circuit and the input-output device. Now, ready and accept lines, which are here, are the handshake control lines on the processor bus side and are connected to master ready and slave ready. Now, input signal, that is my address, is connected to the output of an address decoder. Now, 3 select lines that allow up to 8 registers to be selected. It has here an interrupt request output INTR. It is shown here INTR. It's connected to the interrupt request line on the computer bus. Now, where do we use parallel interface circuits? Parallel interface circuits are used in embedded systems. So, let's have a look on serial port. A serial port is used to connect the processor to input-output device that require transmission of data 1 bit at a time. The serial interface circuit is communicating in bit serial way on the device side and in bit parallel format on the bus side. The serial to parallel and parallel to serial conversion is performed using shift registers. You can see that in the diagram. We have a diagram here. We have shift registers here at the top. Now, this shows that a serial interface circuit, a serial to parallel and parallel to serial conversion, that is performed by the shift registers. Now, it also has a serial interface circuitry schematics. The input shift register accepts bit serial input from the input device. When all 8 bits of data are received, the content of shift registers are transferred to data in register in parallel. So, serially data will be put. Once all the bits are shifted into the shift register, it will be transferred to data in parallel. The output of data out, which is here, the output of data out register are loaded into the output shift register parallelly. You can see here also parallel lines are shown. The bits are shifted out serially, whereas the output is serially, and sent to the output device. The chip and register select logic has the control signals which functions are similar to that described for parallel interface. The status flag that is SIN is set to 1 when new data are loaded in data in, and it is clear to 0 when the processor reads the content of data in. The SOUT flag related to output buffer, that is data out, is set to 1 when data are transferred from data out into the output shift register, and is clear to 0 when the processor writes new data into the data out register. Now, if data in and data out themselves are shift register, then input and output shift register, that is shown here in the diagram, can be eliminated. But this will introduce delay when transferring data. Now, after receiving one character from the serial input, the device can read the next character only after the processor reads the contents of data in. So, a delay is introduced between the reading of two consecutive characters. Now, a double buffering is used here. A double buffering method, that is using separate register for input and output, which can be seen here. So we have separate for input and output. We have for input and for output. Now, as seen here, it is going to provide some advantages. That is, as soon as the data are transferred from input shift register into data in register, the shift register can start accepting the next character from the device. In the meantime, the processor would be reading the first character from data in register parallelly. Thus, the interface can receive a continuous stream of serially transferred data. The same analogy works at the output part of the interface. Now, since a serial transmission, it requires fewer wires, the serial interface is the most convenient way of connecting devices that are physically far apart. For example, two computers could be connected using a coaxial cable. Similarly, for long distance communication like telephone lines is used as a medium. But the disadvantage of serial communication is that it is not as fast as parallel data transfer. The speed of communication given as bit rate, it depends on the nature of the devices connected. So a serial interface should be able to handle wide range of clock speeds. Now in this circuitry, it uses a separate transmitter and receiver clock to provide flexibility in operation. Now the serial interface plays an important role in connecting input-output devices. So different standards like RS-232C, RS-422 and RS-429 have been developed for serial communication. Now, a standard circuitry that includes these features is known as a universal asynchronous receiver transmitter, or you also call it as UART. Now, this is intended to use with low speed devices. Now let's see standard input output interface. Now it can be seen that input output the structure of input output devices vary considerably. Also we have seen that there are many alternative designs for the system bus. Now hence a new interface may have to be designed for every combination of input output device and computer, resulting in many different interfaces. So thus a practical solution is to standardize interface signals and protocols. The general block diagram of a computer system which we have already studied. It consists of a typical personal computer. It has a printed circuitry board which is called as a motherboard, the processor, main memory modules, and some input output interface are housed on the motherboard. The motherboard also has a few connectors. Now additional interface boards can be plugged into these connections. The processor bus, it is the bus defined by the signals on the processor chip itself. And a device like main memory which can transfer data at high speed can be used, can use the processor bus. The motherboard provides another bus which we call as an expansion bus to support other devices. Now the two buses are interconnected by a circuit called a bridge that translates the signal and protocol of one bus into the format of other bus to facilitate efficient data transfer. The structure of the processor bus is mainly governed by the architecture and other parameters like processor clock. So it is difficult to define a uniform standard for processor bus. Whereas the expansion bus is not constrained by the processor structure, hence it can use a standardized signaling scheme. It is difficult to develop a standard to cover all types of peripherals with different speed, electrical and physical properties. A practical solution is to define standard for certain classes of interconnections. Now for example, IBM, it develops a bus called Industry Standard Architecture, which we call it as ISA. In short, we call it as ISA. For their personal computers known as PC-80. Known as PC-80. Now ISA bus is a 16-bit bus. Now later 32-bit bus called extended ISA, which we call as extended ISA bus was developed. Now other manufacturers produced ISA compatible interface for their input output devices. Now depending on the type of operation, different input output interface will be used. A printer is usually connected via a parallel port. It is known as LPT1 or LPT2 in a personal computer. One such it is called as LPT1 or LPT2. One such interface is called the Centronics parallel interface. Now serial interface are used to connect videos terminals. Now, if the terminal is remotely located, the connection may involve a telephone line. In this case, modem, that is modulator and demodulator, is needed at each end of the line to convert the logic values 0 and 1 to the corresponding frequencies on the telephone and vice versa. Now, a widely used serial interface standard is known as RS-232C. Now, over the years, standards have been developed through cooperative and collaborative efforts. In many cases, organizations such as the IEEE, ANSI, IEEE stands for Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, ANSI stands for American National Standard Institute, and international bodies like ISO, International Organization for Standardization, have recognized the interface designed by the industry and given them official status in order to have a common platform for information interchange among devices and computer manufactured by different companies. Now, these are widely used bus standards. There are three widely used bus standards. Those are PCI, which we call as Peripheral Component Interconnect, and SCSI, Small Computer System Interface, and USB, that is Universal Serial Bus. These interface circuits, they are used in a computer system to connect different peripheral devices. Now let's see it through a diagram. You can see here. Now the PCI standard, it defines an expansion bus on the motherboard. The SCSI bus is a high-speed parallel bus used to connect bulk storage devices like the CDs, etc., and video displayers. We have the USB, which is used for here we have the USB, which is used for serial interface technique intended for devices like keyboard, mouse, game controller, modem, cell phones, flash drives, or so on. Now, ISI interface is used to connect the IDE, that is integrated device electronic disk, to the system. A given computer may use more than one bus standard. Now, as you are seeing in the diagram, it shows a connection to Ethernet, and Ethernet is IEEE 802.3 standard, which is widely used to provide high-speed connection among computer within a small graphical area like a company, office, or university campus. Now, such interconnection of computer within a small area, maybe around say 1 kilometer, is known as local area network. A computer connected over a wide area, for example, connecting different branches of a bank within a city, they form a metropolitan area network, which we call as LAN and MAN. Similarly, interconnection of computers over a wide graphical area, like connecting branch offices of a company in different cities, they form a wide area network, which we call as a WAN. And the most popular type of WAN is the internet, as you all are well versed with it. the standard or the interface standard, generally it gives some information like what are the type of device to be connected, data transfer rate, communication media like parallel wires, serial cables, telephone lines, optical fibers, microwave links, satellites, etc., and electrical and physical properties of medium used for data transfer, bandwidth of the medium or channel, the minimum and maximum voltage and current levels on the channels. So all these we can understand through interface standards. Now I am trying to show you diagrammatically how actually the connection or the pins would look like. If you see, this is a diagram wherein you can see here these are the slots. These are the slots which we can use for connecting memories, extra memories. If I want to expand the memory of the computer, in these slots which will be having pins over here, I can insert the memory cards and I can expand the memory of the system. Similarly, this slot is for the CPU slot, wherein I can put the central processing unit. Similarly, these are the pins for power connection of the CPU, and we have here FDD. This is if I want to connect my floppy disk drive, then I can use this slot. And similarly, we have here SATA connector, which stands for SATA stands for Serial Advanced Technology Attachment. These slots are used to connect hardware to the computer. Similarly, we have PCI slots, rare input output shields, right? So different slots have been shown in the figure, how they physically look. Since we are learning everything online, I had to show you diagrammatically how physically it looks in a computer. Now this also you have seen, even now you can see on your system. If you have your system right now, just turn the system and you will be able to see the slots. This slot, which is in a circular shape, we call as PS bar 2 port. I can use it for connecting keyboard or mouse. This is a serial port. You can see here we have here for optical output connectors, for USB slot. Everybody is well versed with this. USB slots, USB ports. This is the parallel port. This is also USB port, right? We have here for connecting microphone, headphones, that is for audio, right? And this is for network port. So externally it will look like, internally it is like this. If you see from external side, it would look like this, right? Same way we have here also. This is for HDMI connector, that is whenever you want to connect your system to a projector, I can use either this or this. So whenever you are purchasing a computer, you should always make sure these slots are being given in your computer. So the modern computers usually they have HDMI connector. The old computers we had VGA connector, but some of the computers both the slots will be given. But most of the projectors nowadays they are having VGA slots. So if we buy a HDMI connector system, then I have to have an extension cord so that I can connect my system to the projector. Now similarly we have here for speakers, stereos, this is for bass, and similarly This is for LAN connection. excuse, excuse right, SATA. Okay, many USB connections, microphone connections. So this is how it looks from the outside. So in the next video we will learn about a PCI bus. So till then, please go through the textbook, read thoroughly, try to understand, try to survey your computer and see all these slots, and hope you will be able to understand what this slot means. So take care. Thank you.